In this final part for 3D printable dentures, we're going to be exploring denture manufacture. We're going to explain how to digitize physical records and convert them into STL files. Then we're going to explain how to design dentures with the DENTCA Design software, how to 3D print both finals and trying dentures, and how to post-process both of these as well. But why is switching to 3D printed and CAD/CAM digital technology worth it for laboratories? In 2006, there were 12,250 dental laboratories doing business in the US. That number greatly decreased in 2014 to 7,732. Now in 2020, the numbers are expected to grow under 5,000. And not only that, but the number of employees per laboratory is also decreasing heavily as we move forward. Denture making is also a time-consuming process that requires several steps, a lot of attention to detail, and special skills from a dental technician. It takes a long time and several hours to manufacture a conventional denture, and you need one dedicated person to make almost one denture per day. Also, due to a bigger demand and higher profitability for crown and bridge versus dentures, there's a lack of skilled technicians that are available to do the job. You can find a lot of technicians who can do crown and bridge in the market, but very few technicians that can do dentures in the market, which means finding one of them that can do dentures properly is not only very difficult, but you have to pay them a much higher salary because there's a lack of them out there. Lastly, doctors want processes and turnaround times to be quicker and faster every time, and hassle-free with easy retrievability. So if you're doing conventional dentures, not only can you not retrieve them easily, but your turnaround times become longer than if you're doing digital. Basically, as we move forward, demand steadily increases, but supply is becoming very limited. So, are you ready to handle the avalanche? So what is the solution? So DENTCA created different solutions. So first, they created a top-of-the-line algorithm matching that results in higher predictability and quality consistency for more precise occlusal setups and aesthetics with DENTCA Design. Also, there's increased profitability when you automate the process. Number one, because you are using 3D printers to do the job of that technician, and you can free the time for the technician to design dentures or post-process the dentures while the dentures are being printed. That technician is free to do other things in your laboratory as well. And of course, making these printing processes faster and faster as you move forward means time is money, and of course it opens up time for you to receive more cases and process more cases as well. We also have to switch our minds from the traditional to the digital mindset as well. For example, a lot of people ask me, well, can these dentures be relined? Can these dentures be repaired? The answer is absolutely yes. They're made out of acrylic, so you can treat them just like any conventional denture. However, why would you? The cost for your lab to do a hard reline is probably going to be almost the same as manufacturing a new denture. So why wouldn't you manufacture a new denture instead? You can also, since the cost of a trying and the cost of a final are almost the same, you can always make a final denture from impressions, give it to the dentist. If everything is good, the dentist delivers the denture in the second appointment. If something is not good, the dentist could use that final as a trying, and then you can manufacture another final. And then, of course, duplicates can be done at the drop of a hat, so you can allow for long distance or emergency deliveries if patients are traveling, or if the doctor is out of office and for some reason you as a lab are requested from the doctor to send the dentures directly to the patient. Lastly, no skilled technicians are necessary. Essentially, to set up the printer, you can get any guy off the street with minimal CAD skills and teach him how to operate the 3D printers. That way you can use your technician's time more effectively to either evaluate the finished dentures, assemble the dentures, check occlusion, or do other things that require a more skilled knowledge. So the next question is, what do you need to have in your laboratory or your dental office in order to manufacture these dentures? Well, the first thing is you need to have a laboratory scanner that can scan in 360 degrees. This is so you can scan the bite properly when you get physical records. You would need a DENTCA approved 3D printer. I'm going to provide you with the list soon, as well as a DENTCA approved curing unit. The 3D printers we currently have approved for our 3D printable materials are the DENTCA Cine 3D printed, which is distributed and sold by DENTCA. With Mix a Siga Max and a Siga Pro 2, Carbon M2 series, and Sprint Rated Model S Pro. The current units that are currently validated with our system are the Derivative PCU LED N2, Dymax 5000 ECE, Electrolyte ELC 4001, which is sold and distributed by DENTCA, and the Honda UVA Cube Sol 500. As previously mentioned, DENTCA wants to keep everything under the one umbrella. So if you have no equipment and you would like to acquire some of the equipment through DENTCA altogether, DENTCA is a proud provider of DOF Laboratories scanners, DENTCA Cine 3D printers, and the Electrolyte curing units. Besides the aforementioned equipment, you will also need the DENTCA 3D printable materials. DENTCA can sell you and provide you with 4 different shades for DENTCA base material, light reddish, dark pink, and original, 6 different shades for teeth material, A1, A2, A3, A3.5, B1, and B2, and DENTCA Trine material, which comes in 1 shade. Many laboratories would like to know the yield to calculate their costs. So 1 kilogram of 3D printable Trine material yields roughly about 20 arches. Please bear in mind that arches have different sizes, so this is just an average. 1 kilogram of 3D printable material for denture base material would yield roughly about 25 arches, and 1 kilogram of 3D printable final denture teeth material yields about 50 arches. DENTCA has several pre-recorded manufacturer videos on the dentca.com website under resources and then training videos. If you click on this section, you will be able to find videos for scanning, printing, post-processing, polishing, and other manufacture steps. For your convenience, I'm going to include these videos on the current video that you're watching, but if you want to find them individually for review, you can always visit the DENTCA website. Now let's take a look at the manufacture process itself, starting with scanning. The following scanning video is done based on the DOF scanner. However, the scanning process is generally the same for any laboratory scanner. So this should serve as a pretty good guideline of what to do whenever you receive physical records, regardless of what scanner you currently have.
Set your cases in the plate with putty. For wax rims, you will need to drill 4 holes per stone model for software alignment. The upper stone model position would just be facing up at 0 degrees. The lower stone model position will be facing up at 0 degrees as well. For the bite scan, please attach the wax rims back into the stone models and put them facing yourself. For stone model cases, place the upper stone model with the teeth facing up at 0 degrees. Repeat the same with the lower scan with the teeth facing up at 0 degrees again. And for the bite, use either of the models and attach the bite registration material to it for scanning. For complete cases with DENTCA trays, please remove the lower pin from the bite. Glue the bite to the trays utilizing super glue and ensure that none of the trays are separating or moving. Otherwise they might fall during scanning. And place the trays facing up at 90 degrees. For the upper scan, separate the bite and the lower tray from the upper tray and attach the posterior attachment carefully not to harm the impression. Once attached, please glue it with super glue, ensuring all edges match properly. And if you see any bubbles or areas, just cover them with putty. Now make sure to place it at 45 degrees. Repeat the same with the lower trays. Insert them carefully as not to harm the impression and then glue them with super glue. Then position it at 45-degree angles. Again, if any bubbles appear, just ensure they're covered with putty. For single arch cases, glue the gray plate to the DENTCA tray and place on the putty facing up. Then in this case we're doing a single upper, so attach the posterior attachment to the upper or lower and glue them together. Position them at a 45-degree angle. As for the stone model, ensure the stone model is facing up with their teeth at 0 degrees. Also, when scanning, certain portions might not scan properly, so it's easy to use a spot check spray to make sure the definition is a little better when scanning.
Design. As mentioned before, there are several models where DENTCA can either manufacture and/or design for you, or you can manufacture and design yourself. We already spoke about the complete model where DENTCA designs and manufacture for you. Now I want to talk a little bit about the design-only model where DENTCA can design for you and then you're responsible for manufacturing. In order to be able to access this service, you would need to create a corporate account at dentca.com and then let DENTCA know so they can add the products for design only. Once you do that, you can go to the orders section online and then request a denture design. You should receive the files within 48 hours of submitting your STL files. If you're interested in manufacturing and designing yourself, you can design using the DENTCAdesign.com software. The DENTCA Design software allows you a lot of freedoms. One of them is the fact that it's not a license-based computer software. The issues with conventional license-based computer softwares is that the denture design is complicated, it requires several skilled technicians to do so, and even the results are inconsistent. You can have 3 designers utilizing the same license-based software, and they could obtain entirely different results when designing the same denture. Designing a denture case with conventional CAD software also requires 2 to 3 hours on average. This greatly harms productivity. The reason for that is because the background generation or the final rendering of the files usually takes roughly about an hour to an hour and a half. And due to the complications of designing with a conventional software where you have to set each individual tooth, it makes you spend a lot of time designing conventional dentures. DENTCA, on the other hand, has a web-based software where everything is designed and rendered online. So once you finish a case after designing for 15 minutes, you can send it for background generation. It will design by itself on an hour, and you can start a new case as soon as you send the previous case for gum shield generation. Another challenge with conventional license-based software is the cost involved with the software itself. So normally individual softwares would cost $8,000 per module, and that means one module with one computer and one technician. So if you want to have several technicians working, they can't really do it with one license. So you have to find yourself purchasing more than one license in order to be able to design several cases at once. DENTCA's web-based software is a pay-per-use software, meaning that you only pay for what you design. It's also a web-based software, which means that any computer with a web browser can access the dentca.com website. So you can have as many designers working on cases as you have computers with internet access. So just understanding cost versus price a little bit, 2 hours of a skilled technician who knows how to design dentures requires roughly $20 for salary an hour, plus the hourly cost of the module, which can go to up to about $70 an arch for design only. Utilizing the DENTCA design solution allows any person out there that has very basic denture knowledge to be able to design a case in a very simple way. It does not require a lot of knowledge. All you have to know is 3 different landmarks and very simple teeth layout setups. Also, the DENTCA software makes sure that there's minimal thickness automatically calculated in any denture generation. Unlike other softwares where you either have to manually set the thickness or they'll create an average thickness that can vary in different areas, DENTCA ensures that there's minimal thickness in all the surfaces of the intaglio. So with no installation needed, no fees needed, you can start ASAP. Why would you wait to adopt? If you would like to design cases with the DENTCA Design software, visit dentcadesign.com. In the main page, you will be able to find a DENTCA Design tutorial video which explains fantastically how to use all the features of the software, as well as sample files that you can download in order to try out how the system works. For your convenience, I'm going to play the DENTCA Design tutorial video at the moment, so you can see all the great features that you can take advantage of by using the DENTCA Design service.
Welcome to DENTCA Design, the first web-based denture design software. In this video, you'll learn how to design a digital denture using the DENTCA Design software, as well as an in-depth explanation of all the special functions added to better customize your cases. You'll be able to design a case in 5 to 10 minutes and have the final STL file rendered in 30 minutes to an hour. Please note that by utilizing the DENTCA Design web service, you can have multiple technicians designing cases at once, without any additional software installation, thus maximizing productivity at your laboratory. While the cases are undergoing final rendering in our server, you can start a new project without having to wait for final generation. The DENTCA Design software offers you a pay-per-use service, which allows you to design cases for maximized output in 3D printed or milled formats in a simple and efficient way. The first step will be to either create or log into the DENTCA Design website. Creating an account is necessary since all your projects are stored here to track and use for later use, like adjustments and reordering. Once you're logged in, click on Create New Project to begin. Uploading scanned files. Whether you're designing a single arch or a complete set of dentures, the second step is to obtain 3D scanned STL files of the current case you're working on, maxillary, mandibular, and bite, and upload them by dragging or adding them with the Browse button one by one. Pay close attention to what type of scan file it asks for during each step. It's important to note that the bite files must have common areas to match with the maxillary and mandibular arches. Please note that certain scanners align the bite automatically and only release 2 files, maxillary and mandibular, in their output format. If this is the case, you can either load both in a 3D viewer, for example MeshLab, and save the aligned file as one bite file, or you can upload the maxillary file as a bite. Currently, only STL file formats are accepted. If your scanner does not generate STL files as a standard output, please contact the scanner manufacturer for a solution. Once all files have been uploaded, click Next to enter the design information. Entering design information. In the third step, you'll enter the patient information and select each option that best suits your design needs. It's very important to select the correct impression type, DENTCA tray or wax rim. If you select DENTCA tray, it will ask for the upper lip length. This is obtained during the impression appointment with a DENTCA lip ruler. If you're designing a single arch mandibular, please enter an arbitrary number from 1 to 10. Continue to select the best options for teeth arrangement, shape post-dam, and fastening style. Please note that the no post-dam option should only be used during try-in adjustments, but not as an initial selection for new cases. When all the information is selected, click Next to proceed with matching. Matching. During this fourth step, we'll start by matching the maxillary arch with the bite. Click on an identifiable point on the bite scan to add a colored dot. Then click on the same area on the maxillary model to align, and then repeat with 2 more areas. It's important that the colored dots correspond to each other. To ensure better matching, we recommend placing dots sufficiently spread out. If a dot is misplaced, you can select it by right-clicking on it. Then you may move to the desired position, or you can delete it by right-clicking on it and then pressing the delete button on your keyboard. On the 3D rendered screen, you may move or rotate the models by right-clicking on them. Pressing down on the wheel or the middle button on the mouse will allow you to drag the impression to the center of the screen. Use the mouse wheel to zoom in and out. Once the maxillary match is complete, a check mark will appear in the top control bar next to Upper. To match the mandibular arch, click Lower and proceed with matching. The previous dots will turn gray to avoid confusion of upper and lower arches. If your scan files came in a pre-aligned format, you may skip this step by clicking the Skip Matching button on the top control bar. Once alignment is done, we will begin the trimming process. trimming. Begin establishing a trim line on the maxillary arch by placing dots on the middle of the sulcus in the model by double-clicking the left mouse button. Alternatively, you can left-click while holding the control key on your keyboard to place points more quickly. Keep adding points until the last point connects to the first point. You can also add waypoints by clicking on the white connection lines. You may modify any points in the line by double-clicking on them until the dot becomes red, then dragging them to change position or click the delete button to remove them. To clear the trim line completely, click the Clear All button on the right side. You may also click on the 4 arrow icon above it to expand the model to full screen mode. To exit the full screen, press the Escape button. Sometimes the line will go under or across the frenum areas, instead of above them. Do not worry. Once the arch is trimmed, it will do so above these areas. Once the maxillary trim is done, a check mark will appear in the top control bar next to Upper. Click the lower button and continue to trim the mandibular arch. While adding waypoints, if the connection line has become too long, please delete the point and reselect it closer to the previous one. The trim line must be connected in a circular pattern. Please note, if you're designing a single arch, it is necessary to trim the opposing dentition model, especially in the case of the lower arch. This must be done for the DENTCA Design software to automatically arrange the teeth. Once the upper and lower trims are completed, click Done to proceed to landmark placement. Landmarks. The landmarks consist of 3 upper points and 2 lower points. Please select the incisive papilla as the front upper landmark, red. Next, choose the left and right hamular notches, green, as the second and third landmarks. It's important to ensure that the landmarks are placed within the trim line. If the trim line was established too interiorly, you can return to the previous step to adjust by clicking on the trim in the above panel, then adjust and click Done to move forward again. Click the lower button to choose the 2 lower landmarks, which are the retro molder pads. Once you choose all the landmarks, click the Submit button. You will then need to verify your teeth selection. Once verified, click Confirm. DENTCA Design will match, trim, create the occlusal plane, and arrange the teeth automatically. This process takes approximately 1 minute for calculations and generation. Once generated, you'll need to verify the design. Verification. Verify the matching, trimming, and occlusal plane placement. You can rematch or retrim as necessary. To ensure a proper match was done, look for an even meshing of purple and pink color. If there is too much of one color or it's visibly misaligned, the selected points might not have been precisely matched. You can click on Adjust Match to correct it or Next Verification to proceed to the next step if no changes need to be made. For better visibility, you can remove portions of the models by clicking or unclicking each individual section on the right side of the screen. During the occlusal plane verification, you may move the occlusal plane by clicking on it, or rotate, tilt as necessary, by either holding the Shift button or alternating the Move Rotate functions on the top of the screen. To undo changes, click the Undo button. If the impression type is a wax rim, this is the place to align the occlusal plane accordingly. Once finished, click on Save and Exit to view the teeth setup. DENTCA Design automatically generates an ideal teeth setup based on the landmarks, arch, teeth, and gum shape style that you selected. There should be no need to modify the teeth at this point. However, if there are certain aesthetic parts that need to be customized, it can be done at this stage. Teeth can be moved or rotated in a group or individually by selecting options at the bottom. On the left side, you can find views from 3 different angles to facilitate orientation. You may move or rotate these orientations and reset them by clicking the looping arrow symbol on the middle of the screen. If space is limited, you may click on the premolar function on the lower right side to remove the first premolars from the setup. You may also change the tooth size characteristics by clicking on the Change Teeth Mold button at the upper right section. Utilize the Check Contact function to determine if you have any active contacts in the arch. It will show by making said teeth transparent. To adjust, move or rotate the tooth until it changes color again. Please note that overlapping is not a big deal when it comes to printed. Since the teeth are printed in blocks, the software will automatically relieve the interproximal excess and merge the teeth for you. For single arches, please note that the software will automatically relieve any occlusal areas that are making active contact with the opposing dentition. It is recommended to intentionally slightly overlap the denture teeth cusps against the opposing dentition to obtain an ideal occlusal adjustment. To close or open the VD, you can utilize the toggle bar in the lower right corner. Once you are satisfied with the teeth setup, submit the case for final generation. Please note that a minimum space for the base and teeth is needed. If space is insufficient, an error message will appear stating that the space is not enough to generate the denture, and 2 red dots will appear to show where the early contacts are. Open VD up until the dots turn green. This will be a sign that enough space has been achieved. The final generation process takes approximately 30 minutes to an hour. Since this is a web-based software, you don't need to wait for the generation to complete before starting a new design. As soon as you click Submit to Final, you may start a new project. If you forget any of the steps mentioned above, you may click on the Guided Tour section on the right side for a small tutorial on the options and steps on the current stage of your design. Or you may click on the Message System section under Browser Projects for help. Ordering and final output. Once the final generation is done, the status of the case will change to Complete. Click on the Completed button to view the final design. Please note that if the teeth are too close to the gum area, such as in cases with a short lip length, the gums might cover a portion of the teeth as minimal denture base thickness must be achieved. The designs are optimized for 3D printing or milling, and the STL files can be downloaded as try-in or final dentures. To download, open the finished design by clicking on Final, then select Order Download for when you're planning to manufacture yourself, or click on Order 3D Printed when you want DENTCA to manufacture the final denture for you. Finally, click on Order and fill out all shipping and payment information to check out. Placing adjustments. DENTCA Design allows you to make adjustments to an existing try-in. If this option was selected from the beginning, to enter adjustments to a try-in, click on Browse Projects, then find a case you're working on and click on Adjustment Order. If the doctor took a new bite wash scan, the try-in with wash bite and apply them using the new wash or new bite functions at the top control bar. Make any other requested changes and then proceed to submit for final.